Today's show is sponsored by the multiorgasmicmama.com. If lack of confidence, low libido, or guilt and shame around your sexuality are the cause of your bedroom woes, the hot wild sex you never have anymore, or the transition into motherhood that sucked your libido dry, let me help you get your mojo and magnetic feminine spark back. Magic, miracles, total self-love, and multi-orgasmic bliss included. See you at themultiorgasmicmama.com. Hey lovelies, it's Lacey Broussard here to help you solve the issue of, I don't know what I like, and there's gotta be more. What else is there? I am wondering, have you seen the Netflix series Sex Education yet? I spent all last week watching the series. It was so amazing. And if you have not seen it, I am absolutely giving you permission, not that you need it, but in case you do, to skip to episode 6. And I want you to hear Amy discuss her issue and admitting that she is always faking herself, faking her orgasm, faking what she wants, like just doing what she thinks she's supposed to be doing in the bedroom. And her boyfriend has totally caught on to this. And he's like, "You don't really want that, do you?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, I do." Anyway, so she goes to the sex therapy clinic in their high school, and she wants to ask the therapist what to do about this. So the therapist is asking her about the issue, and he's like, "Well, do you actually know what you want?" And she said, "No, I actually don't. I have no idea." And the therapist prescribes her a good old self-wank. He addresses how there's obviously more shame and taboo around women masturbating than men, and that's totally true. And that if you want to know your body, though, and you want to know what you like and not be faking it all the time, then you really have to discover what you like on your own in order to teach your partner some good old masturbation like you was 16 again, if you want to get to know your body and your sexuality, okay? Now, I've talked to some of you recently that have suffered years, some of you decades or more, of bad or just not good sex because you literally have no idea what to tell your lovers about what you want. Or the sex just isn't good because you only know one way to orgasm and haven't spent much time exploring anything else. I get it for the tried and true, but it gets old after a while, people. And I also find it really incredible that most women's first sexual experiences are with someone else and not themselves. Now, this was me, so I absolutely get it and totally get it. I get it so much that I have mourned the loss of my early teenage horniness and, just those years of not having those years to have had fun and explore like all of my peers seemed to have been doing. But I was raised with so much body and sexual shame and impurity culture that I didn't do that. I mean, I literally never masturbated until I was in my 20s, like ever. And neither did many of you listening because I talk to a lot of you and that's what I hear. And it's common and unfortunately it happens. But even though I didn't learn what I liked and really started discovering my body and sexuality until my late 20s and early 30s, it's just never too late. That's why today I wanted to talk to you about the 4 things that I did. Oh, I'm sorry, 3. The 3 things that I did to get to know my body and to learn what I like so I could communicate that clearly to my lovers. Now, there's a couple of things that I absolutely cannot stand if someone does and I want to smack their freaking hand. So there are some things that you're just an absolute no, I don't like that. And there are some things that are absolutely amazing to you. But if you don't know more than 1 or 2 of those amazing things, then sex is obviously not going to be that great and a little boring. So if you're one of those women out there that has no idea what you want sexually, or if there's only one thing that you know that you like and you only know how to do that one thing, for example, like you only know how to orgasm with him going down on you, or you can only orgasm if you finger yourself to orgasm, and your options are really limited, then I want you to gather a few items and I want you to start exploring your magical pussies and the endless possibilities awaiting to be explored down there. There's so much more than just your clit, ladies. If you want to discover the exquisite pleasure available inside of your vagina, like deep vaginal orgasms or cervical orgasms, then you're going to need a couple of things. So, of course, a lot of us know how to receive pleasure and get pleasure from our clit. Some of you don't, and if not, and that's okay, you can start exploring your clit more. I'm going to tell you a few ideas on that. But so many of us have never actually explored our deep vaginas, our deep pussies. So the first thing I want you to do is to order yourself a self-exam kit from the My Beautiful Cervix project. It is only $25, and I will post the link to this kit in the show notes. And then I want you to go get an Icicle number 8 glass dildo from Amazon for $22, or you can find that actually in some sex shops, some local sex shops. I will post the link to that, the one on Amazon, in the show notes as well. With the kit and the glass dildo, you're going to go on a little adventure of discovering your own pussy. So many of us only know about the clit and how it works, and yet I want you to know that there's so much more. So the entire inside of your pussy, including the G-spot, the A-spot, and the cervix, all carry orgasmic potential just waiting for you to explore. Many of you, you just tell me you've only had clitoral orgasms. You never had a vaginal orgasm. You never had a cervical orgasm. You've never had a G-spot orgasm. You've never squirted, all that stuff. So the biggest problem with that is that you're just not exploring it, and you need some new skills and techniques, and you need a skilled and technique lover as well. But you can wait on the lover part and just do it yourself. You don't need a lover to learn how to do these things for yourself. So the first thing that I want you to do is to get out a good old trusty mirror. It can be a handheld mirror or a full-length mirror or whatever mirror you got around. And I want you to actually look at your vulva. Now, this is crazy how many women I talk to have never actually looked down there unless there was an issue or to assess the so-called damage that they think might have happened after having a baby and stuff. This makes me really sad that women don't even know what their vulvas look like, and many of us don't know our own anatomy of the clitoris, the vulva, the G-spot, the A-spot, and the cervix. So if that's you, well, then baby, it is past time that you get to know your own body. If you're listening to this podcast, then I'm sure you've got some questions. All right, so one of the fascinating things about the vulva and the clit is that the upper left quadrant of your clitoris is usually the most pleasurable spot to stroke or to have stroked. So if you've never played with tiny micro strokes, so literally it's like the first joint of your pinky, it's about that much of the length of the upper left quadrant of your clit. So you're going to take either your index finger or your index and middle finger, and you're going to place them at the upper left quadrant, and you're going to stroke there. And you can literally do this for like 10 or 15 minutes, just so slow with micro movements. And this is going to help resensitize your clit. So if you have become addicted to your vibrator, or if you need a lot of pressure to orgasm, or if your clit just isn't that sensitive, this is a way to help resensitize your clitoris. So you can help resensitize it by just doing these tiny, tiny micro movements so slowly for about 10 or 15 minutes. This is called orgasmic touching. And this is how you can get to know your vulva more and to resensitize your clit. So when I took a good look for the first time in a mirror at my own vulva, I had the biggest discovery. I was like, oh my God, it's asymmetrical. It is not symmetrical. Like, you can totally tell which side is which. So just some of the things you might discover down there, who knows? But yeah, when you're looking down there, just offering words of love and gratitude for the unique shape and size and the color of your hair and the color of your skin. Just making sure that you give yourself so much love while you're doing this. So once you've gotten to know your vulva, now I want you to go even deeper, quite literally, into your own pussy, all the way up to your cervix. So it is so sad that pretty much the only time women ever pay attention to their cervix is when we're getting a pap smear at the gynecologist, and it's almost always painful. If your GYN has touched, seen, and discovered your cervix before you did, well, I mean, that's just fucking sad. That was my experience, unfortunately. But I mean, there's nothing to say that we can't change this. It's sad that the first experience that most of us have had with our cervix is, with a gynecologist in a white gown and completely uncomfortable with a cold speculum and blah, blah, blah. It's terrible. But yeah, I mean, this whole area of your body is so full of exquisite pleasure that's just waiting to be explored and unlocked within you. But unfortunately, most of our experiences are rife with pain and not good stuff. I don't want this to be the case for you anymore. If that happened to you, then just know that there is pleasure waiting for you in your cervix, your A spot. But it takes a loving environment, just like you would, with a lover. You wouldn't want to be in a cold room with a light shining down on you, So just setting the experience in your room for this exploration to be really comforting and really sensual. So this can be super fun too, and it's totally hilarious. I just remember the first time that I actually put a speculum up my pussy with a full-length mirror. I had like a flashlight in one hand and my phone in the other. It's fucking hilarious, y'all. But it's fun and it's quite entertaining. So, once you've seen her, you can actually even snap a few pictures. So you're going to actually use the speculum to look at your cervix and the inside of your deep vagina. So I had no idea what the color of my deep vagina even was. Like, I had no idea. It was like really light. I thought it would be darker and darker pink. And it's like a lot lighter than I thought it was. So just knowing these things about yourself, it's so amazing just to know what you look like on the inside. All right, so now that you know what your cervix and the inside of your pussy looks like, then I want you to get out your glass dildo that I told you about, that icicle number 8, and you can start exploring your deep vagina, including the A spot and the cervix. So this practice, you're going to really want to focus on the A spot, which is located on the anterior side of the vagina, just below the cervix. So it's different for every woman, but you're going to feel like a spot of pleasure right below your cervix. So wherever that little spot of pleasure is, it's probably your A spot. It doesn't feel like the walnutty shape of the G spot, but the A spot is just more sensitive to the touch than the rest of your deep vagina will be. And the cervix, obviously, is located all the way up at the top of the vagina. And it feels a bit like the tip of your nose with a little pinhole in the middle. That pinhole is called the cervical os, and that is where a baby comes out, if you've ever had a baby. So for women that have had a baby, that cervical os is generally a bit more open. So you will probably feel it. And for women that have not had a baby, you might not feel that pinhole very much. So you'll want to set a timer for this cervical exploration practice. Put on some sensual music that helps you get in the mood, and you're going to start this practice by pressing the crystal dildo all around your vulva, your outer lips, and your inner lips. And you can even press it on your clit a little bit, just to get yourself turned on. And when you feel a little turned on and ready, you're going to slowly invite the crystal dildo inside, up towards the A spot and the cervix, going so slow. And during this entire deep pussy exploration, you're going to be speaking the sensations that you feel out loud for 5 minutes. So as you touch and stroke your body with the contact of the crystal dildo, you're going to be asking yourself over and over, what's the sensation that I'm feeling right now? And you're going to speak the sensation and the location of the sensation out loud right now. And you're going to keep going like this for 5 minutes straight. If you come to a pause and you're like, I don't feel anything, that's okay. Just keep asking yourself, what do I feel right now? What do I feel right now? Eventually, you'll feel something. So it might be a contraction, constriction, champagne bubbly feeling, a tension, stress, a knot. You might feel pleasure. You might feel relaxation. You might feel like a fire, or just energy running through. Who knows? There's a plethora of sensations that you could potentially feel while doing this practice. And after 5 minutes of doing this, you're going to start to squeeze the deep vagina with pleasure. So this is the most important thing, because you don't want your squeezes and releases to feel mechanical. You want them to feel pleasurable and enlivening and awakening to your body, inviting life and strength and power and sensitivity. It's also really important to always relax. So you're squeezing and relaxing with pleasure. So with every squeeze comes a relaxation. It's funny because so many women get in their heads that they want strong pussies, and that's great, but it doesn't help if you have a strong pussy, but you don't know how to relax it. So make sure that you focus just as much on relaxing your entire pelvis and deep vagina as you focus on squeezing the deep vagina with pleasure. Now, I find that the relaxation part is where you can feel the pleasure expand and spread through the body the most. So when you inhale and squeeze, you feel the pleasure build up, and then you exhale, relax, and you feel the pleasure expand with the breath and move to other parts of the body. So do this squeezing and releasing with pleasure for 5 minutes as well, and see what feels different for you. And when you're done with this practice, just notice what you experienced. Did you feel more in your pussy than you've ever felt before? Did you unlock or discover new sensations? Did you find an area of tension or contraction that you just couldn't relax? Did you feel nothing at all? Did you feel loads of pleasure? It's so important to not put any expectations on your body doing a practice like this, because you're already doing that enough unconsciously every single day. So just let whatever your experience be what it was, without any judgment. You can always try it again, and your second experience might be completely and absolutely different. If you're going through these practices and a memory or a feeling or emotion arises that feels counter to what you want to experience, or it feels counter to a present moment truth, then that's because it's something from the past, something conditioned. And this is showing you that it's time to go through a rewiring process around your sexuality. So much can come up when you do these really deep sexual exploration and body practices. So you really want to know the 4 things that you can do if this happens. The first thing is to become very aware and conscious of the fact that this potentially negative experience or emotion is happening. So if a memory or feeling of disgust happens, just being aware of it instead of getting lost in the experience. I absolutely remember the first time that I looked at my cervix, it was like so terrifying. And I was disgusted and amazed all at the same time. It was just a super intense experience. So that pointed out to me that I had a lot of conditioning around disgust around my deep vagina. So if that happens for you, just becoming very aware and conscious of the fact that it's happening. Then the second step is to become fully present and aware that you are in this moment now. So just notice the room that you're in, your body here in the space. Notice the contact of your body on whatever you're sitting or standing on. So this will help you to not re-traumatize yourself from getting lost in a memory or the disgust. So staying present and aware will help you recognize that if something from the past is coming up, that it's just from the past. This awareness can help you to integrate instead of spiraling. And then the third step is to ground into self-love and the intention of the practice in the first place. So notice if you've gotten disconnected from loving yourself and this experience that you're doing. It's really, really powerful to love yourself even when it feels the hardest. if you're feeling disgust or shame, or a hazy or clear memory comes up, just keep sending love to it. So you can ground all of it in love and get clear on your intention to either release the experience or to create a new reality for yourself, or just to create safety for yourself. And then the fourth step is to choose a new reality. So this is super nuanced at different stages of the sexual exploration and healing process and integration. And there are four main options that you can choose in creating a new reality, but this is way too much to go into for just one single podcast. But for now, if choosing a new reality becomes apparent and something that needs to happen for you, then you can get out a good old Word document or a journal if you're super old-fashioned, and you can write a new sexual narrative for yourself, an empowering one that you actually like, and then you can start to choose this new empowering sexual narrative for yourself. All right, so that was a lot. So I want to recap here for you ladies. Now, if you want to get to know your body and learn what you like, I want you to try 3 things. 1, you're going to do mirror work with your vulva. So getting out a handheld mirror or full-length mirror and really looking at her and speaking kind words of love and praise to her. And then the second thing you're going to do is get your beautiful cervix kit, and you're going to start to explore and get to know your deep vagina and cervix. Just get to know what she even looks like. And then the third thing you're going to do is to try the crystal dildo exploration of the deep vagina and start awakening and building the capacity for A-spot and cervical pleasure. All right. So with that last one, though, you just remember there's 5 minutes of speaking the sensations that you're feeling and their location, and then 5 minutes of squeezing and releasing with pleasure. And as always, if the negative memories, the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, or the experiences come up, which they're probably going to happen, just remember the 4 steps. To 1, become aware and conscious of the fact that it's happening. 2, to become fully present in the now and recognize that this negative experience is from the past. And then 3, to ground into self-love and the intention of the practice in the first place, which is just to discover your body and sexuality more. And then 4, to choose a new reality. And if that becomes something that feels good for you, then writing a new sexual narrative down on paper or on a Word doc and reading it to yourself a couple of times. And that is it, ladies. So have some fun getting to know your body and what you like, and be sure to let me know how it goes. Thanks for tuning in today, and I will talk with y'all next week. Bye.